Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday afternoon. My name is Matt Hoffman from Practicing Excellence, and I will be your MC today. Um, Before we jump in, just a few housekeeping items, and I first want to acknowledge the impending landfall of Hurricane Ian, and our sincere hope that your friends and family are somewhere safe. Definitely in our thoughts and prayers. We have a large group today, so everyone will be muted, but we still want to hear from you through the chat function. And in fact, Dr. Beeson is going to be asking you some questions live during the roundtable, and you will use the chat function to respond to his questions. So we're really looking forward to having some interaction there. To get warmed up with the chat function, hoping all of you out there can share a little bit, and we're always trying to do our due diligence here, on what your favorite TV series is that you've watched recently. Please enter your favorite TV series currently into the chat so we can make sure everything is working as we hope it will. So let me make sure chat function is, oh, we've got a raised hand. Is the chat function perhaps you have a problem with it? Everyone, okay. I think I just turned on the chat. So everyone should be able to enter their favorite current TV show, and we'll make sure it's working now. This Is Us, Emergency, Columbo reruns, The Voice, Yellowstone. Oh, Ted Lasso, of course. This is great. All right, we're going to capture this. This is very important information. We're going to capture this and share it with you. So we crowdsource some great new TV ideas. So we will also be using the Q&A function. So that is also there, and you can see the volume controls that are available as well. If you're like most of the healthcare leaders we speak with, time is in really short supply, and we're super excited you're here today. Just a little bit about us. Our mission at Practicing Excellence is very simple: to care for those who care for our communities. We do this by coaching the entire care team in areas where their skills may be underdeveloped. Areas like patient connection, leadership effectiveness, and self-care. Here's how it works. So imagine that your whole clinical team has our app on their phone. We put to everyone on your clinical team a new 5-minute video-based coaching tip once a week, every week. Everyone receives the same coaching tip every week. And inside that coaching tip is a specific call to action, something that that person, your clinician, the clinical team can try with their next patient in their next team huddle. And it's delivered and presented by a credible peer of theirs and backed by clinical evidence. So for example, you see Susan Leggett-Johnson here on the screen. She's one of our faculty members. And this tip that she's presenting on screen is about team collaboration. So everyone on your team doing the same tip, the same week, the same time, and trying something new in their day-to-day work. And as they go through this, these week-by-week programs are earning CME credits and CD credits as well. Why does it work? It's really fast. Clinicians do not have a lot of time. They're exhausted. This is really fast, 5 minutes a week. It's practical. We find that clinical teams do not want theory. They want something that's immediately actionable. It's everyone together. It powers kind of continuous learning and everyone working on the same skill together at the same time. And it's all aligned with what the objectives of the organization are. So week by week, we're building skills that actually make a measurable difference inside the organization. We work with a number of health systems and medical groups of all shapes and sizes across the country. And our partners tell us what they need help on, where do they feel like skill gaps are within their clinical teams. And currently, many of our partners are very focused on supporting their frontline leaders with the skills they need to engage and retain their team members, which is why today's topic of Leader as Coach is so very relevant. So with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Stephen Beeson. As many of you know, he's the founder of Practicing Excellence. I will have him tell his story, but after dedicating 20 years to developing physicians, APPs, nurses, teams, and leaders through speaking and one-to-one coaching, scale became a big issue. And after writing 2 best-selling books on leader and clinician development and flying around the country presenting on these topics, he wanted to disrupt how people in healthcare built their skills. So in Starbucks one day, the idea of app-based micro-learning to build skills across the whole organization was born. And now here we are. And I will now pass to Steve to take us through our roundtable today. Steve, take it away.
All right, thank you, Matt. And again, appreciate each of you being here. It's been quite a story. I'm gonna share a few things that I haven't shared with a ton of people in regards to my personal journey and helping and supporting people become better in their life to massively contribute to better care, and to do so in a way that allows them to find joy, love, and contentment in the journey. And as some of you may know, I'm a family medicine physician, finished residency in 1994, joined the Sharp-Roustelia Medical Group as a part of Sharp Healthcare, was appointed by Sharp-Roustelia Medical Group leadership to coach, train, and develop clinicians to advance our organizational objectives of improved experience for patients. We were in the 6th percentile in terms of the physician composite, and improve the experience of the care teams, meaning our attrition was very, very high, and the distrust between physicians and leadership was prominent. And began a journey of how do we become better at our work, and how do we support and develop clinicians, teams, and leaders to advance and achieve our organizational objectives. And I really began the process with myself, asking patients, how do you define the best clinician that you've ever known? And getting a consistent theme of what I heard from patients, and simply getting a registry of what those skills and behaviors were and deploying those in the exam room. And what happened next was extraordinary. I was able to achieve the 99th percentile for a decade straight without spending any more time. But really, it was about what medicine was like for me now. I became the sort of clinician that I thought I was going to be when I sacrificed everything to become it, and became immensely proud and connected to the purpose I was serving. And I found this process of becoming better at the work that we do replicated with every single one of the clinicians that we were coaching, that impacting the lives of those that we served and being an amazing teammate and local team leader was manifesting all sorts of fruit that translated to big organizational change in terms of metrics, improved bottom to top decile in patient experience, and plummeted our attrition. But most importantly, becoming masters at the work of patient connectivity, team collaboration, and leadership effectiveness was the source of contentment, joy, and contribution. In fact, the book I'm reading right now is a great book, The Wonder Drug, which Steve Treziak, who I spoke at a conference with last week, just it's all the evidence that purposeful, impactful contribution are the best things in the human experience. So that was the essence of the reason for building a technology-empowered, scalable skill building solution to allow the moments to manifest with patients, with teammates, and those that we lead. But that's not other people know that, but I'm going to share with you another story. This is me graduating from medical school in 1991. And that is my Uncle Bob that is with me, known by some by Dr. Robert Hazelrig, and was an extraordinary neurologist and husband of my dad's sister. And back when I finished high school in 1982, my ambition for myself was to become a musician. I didn't pay attention much in school. I didn't have an extraordinary record in terms of GPA, and my SATs are pretty good, but nothing extraordinary. So I finished high school thinking, now I got that school thing out of the way, I can pursue my real passion. And I had dinner with Uncle Bob after finishing high school, and he began to tell me about what a day in the life was of a clinician, and the idea of gathering objective data and putting together a differential diagnosis and testing against that and figuring out what the diagnosis is and issuing a treatment plan and the longitudinal relationships and making a difference in life and what kind of life you're going to lead in your time here on earth, and really profound, important reflections for me. And in that dinner, I thought to myself, I want to do what he's doing. It sounds extraordinary. And the journey began. And Bob and I have had a very close relationship that continues today. And he guided me, he mentored me, he believed in me, he challenged me, he taught me, he pressed me beyond my comfort zone. He gave me positions that were beyond my scope and my abilities. He allowed me to do assessments of patients and recommended treatment plan. Of course, he was supervising me, but I was a college student. So I entered medical school knowing how to do a neuro exam, doing a history and physical and differential diagnosis, and he's a neuroanatomy specialist. So I was all over neuroanatomy. And Uncle Bob changed my life in very compelling ways and made me who I am today. Uncle Bob was my coach. And he provisioned guidance and support and development to me that was not just telling me what to do, but allowing me to tap the best of what I wanted in life to become something that was extraordinary for me. So the idea and the notion of leader as coach is the answer to the burnout challenge and the engagement challenge that all of us are feeling right now. So to fast forward to where we are today, we're going to talk a little bit about the outline of coaching on engagement and what that dynamic in that relationship is, knowing that engagement is a precursor to all the healthcare imperatives require a team to be engaged, to deploy effort to achieve something. So what is the dynamic in the relationship between coaching and engagement? We're going to review what a senior leader would do to advance this idea of leader as coach and a coaching culture, and what the frontline leader would do. What specifically, we're going to give you 3 specific things you can do tomorrow with your team that are game changers. They're a derivative of what every great leader has ever done for me, what's in the data in terms of what people say about their organizations and having amazing leadership. What do those leaders do exactly? And their variations of, again, Uncle Bob. And we're going to give you 3 tactics that you can use. And we're going to provide you some resources to begin the journey. And I wanted to begin this process because ultimately we want to deploy leadership skills, words, and behaviors and skills, again, to engage our people and to advance their contribution to what we want to achieve as an organization. And sometimes there's not crystal clear understanding of what engagement is. So I'm going to go over, this is Steve's definition. But it's a harvesting from tons of super smart people and just being in the trenches of organizations that have executed engagement and those that have not. And the degree of engagement is a predictor of your ability to execute your organizational outcomes, hands down. So engagement is, I'm going to stay here. It's a workforce instability stabilizer, because a proxy for engagement is, I'm going to stay here. Number 2, I would advocate this group, this place, to my colleagues that are thinking and looking for a place to work. Very powerful correlate to engagement, meaning uproot your family, fly here, buy a house here, because this place rocks. That is a proxy for engagement. 3rd, I will access my discretionary effort to help this place achieve something. And if you look at the global data right now, about 10%, between 10 and 15% of all clinicians right now are actively engaged in organizational efforts. And we as clinicians, we're 80% of all cost and 90% of all clinical activity. I don't know how in the world we could ever execute our organizational outcomes if we're not actively deploying effort to achieve those things. So we're dedicated and engaged to the care for the patient right before us, but I will deploy discretionary effort to help our organization achieve is a different issue and is a proxy for engagement. I will use my influence at the local clinical microsystem level to engage the people who look to me for leadership, because we will make the argument that engagement is a local event. And the capacitator for executing anything, clinical variation reduction, team-based care, transitions of care, harm reduction, patient experience, whatever. We have similar organizational priorities that are themes across the country. To do that requires clinicians to access discretionary effort and to use their influence to engage those who look to them for leadership. And ultimately, care team members saying, this is everything I hope it to be. We're deeply connected to everything that this healing profession should be. We're immensely collaborative with each other. And I have a sense of esprit de corps and family where I am. And our leaders listen, help, support us. And getting this engagement to manifest, leader as coach is one of the most powerful levers to have this condition manifest. I will stay here. I would advocate for this place. I will access my discretionary effort. I will use my influence. And this is everything I hoped it to be. So if we look at, the idea of to coach somebody, it's not telling them what to do. It's not teaching necessarily. It's raising their capacity to become their best, to create meaningful change in what they do, to tap their strengths and become who they aspire to be. And I've told many of you this in the past. When I coach and train and develop clinicians, the first question I always ask is, tell me about the clinician that you aspire to be. And coaching is just allowing that to manifest. And again, it's what I've now dedicated my life with amazing teammates to doing, which is giving skills and actions and behaviors that are consistent with what many clinicians hope to be in terms of a difference maker for patients, an amazing colleague, an incredible team leader, a healer who's trusted and contributes to the wellness journey of their patients and is a force for good within the organizational context. So, and a coaching culture is a broader endeavor. It's a place where people are constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly mastering, contributing, and advancing their skills to become what they aspire to be. And that sense of championship pride of what it means to be us. We are the best for our patients, for each other, and as leaders, and the mission that we serve is bigger than any one of us. That is manifested by a coaching culture that allows patient connectivity, team collaboration, and leadership effectiveness to create that compelling, purpose-driven, bigger than us future state. And I've shared, I know, with many of you in the past, drivers of human contentment and what people say in this human journey that prompts them to say, this is everything I hope for in this life. Those three big drivers are mastery, the process of accomplishing, achieving, advancing, contributing. It gives meaning to life. We are driven, clinicians in particular, to be on a mastery journey. We must progress. We must advance. We must contribute. It is in our makeup to do that. The second is authenticity. We are living in accordance with what we know to be right. Meaning I am being the kind of clinician, the kind of care team, the kind of leader that I know that I should be. And living out of accordance with that belief and lacking authenticity of how we live our lives is frequently the source of despair. And lastly, belonging. I am a part of a place that cares about each other. We support each other, lift each other, cry on each other's shoulders, have fun together, laugh together, tease each other, whatever. And so as we look to build leader as coach, it is about building a mastery journey. It is about allowing people to be who they aspire to be and living an authentic life and doing it together, where we're on a journey together, helping each other, supporting each other, exchanging ideas, and getting better together. Because we ultimately want both. We have to engage our team for workforce stability, turnover, retention, recruitment, all the things that are byproducts that occur when there's engagement. And we have to improve the work that we do. Patient experience, need-based care, value-based care, whatever it may be. We have to engage our teams and improve. Our thesis is that a coaching culture and leader as coach is how we both engage and improve. They are two strands of DNA. They are two vectors that travel together. And again, Steve's book, The Wonder Drug, is built upon that entire thesis. And what I am 100% certain is right. Us becoming better, more productive, more purposeful, more impactful, and more consistent with what we thought our lives would be is how we find the contented life and the contributory life. So if we look at engagement, engagement as the manifestation of what we want to achieve for our team and all the behaviors that occur with the engaged that allow us the ability to create change and the conditions that prompt engagement. We can't just say, oh, be engaged. We have to do things that prompt engagement. And leader as coach is what I believe to be one of the most powerful things that we can do as a local and director level and senior leader, because it is a signal of they care about me. Just like the coach that my son is a lacrosse coach in high school now, and he coaches in a way where there is no doubt those kids know that my son, Nick, deeply cares about them. And it creates engagement and willingness to do whatever it takes for the team. It is a cue that you matter. I have a voice, because it's that coaching is not go do this. Coaching is tell me what you want to become. You have dominion over this. I'm going to help you get there. Coaching is I see my role playing out in something. I see my role, the thing that I do, playing out in a purpose that I believe in. I can see the feedback loop of this. And we as a leader, as coach, can allow that to manifest. I have a chance to grow and develop here. Clearly, a leader as coach can allow that sentiment to arise. I am challenged to bring my best, just like my Uncle Bob used to take me on rounds with all the residents. And he would ask questions for all the residents. These are TGY threes, and even some fellows that were doing fellowships in subspecialties in neurology were there. And I was an undergraduate, and it was my questions were as hard or harder than anybody else. And it was super nerve-wracking, and it made me who I am today. And he did it because he loved me. I mean, I'm not saying you have to love the people that you coach, but it was a signal that they care about me, and I'm going to challenge you to become your best. It's a signal of belonging. Coaching people is belonging. It's a signal that they believe in me, because sometimes we have a sense that maybe I'm not as good as everybody else, and I'm part of an imposter syndrome. And I got into medical school and got through nursing school because I worked harder than anybody else, but everybody else here is smarter. Coaching is a signal that we believe in you. And one of the 3 tactics is specifically dialing that lever. And I feel safe. I feel safe to raise my hand for questions. I feel safe to raise my hand for help. I feel safe to bring forward ideas, and those things manifest. All of these things manifest of I feel safe, they believe in me, I belong, I feel challenged to be my best, I have a chance to grow and develop, I can see the purpose of my work. If we could wave our magic wand and everybody, manager and above, was leader as coach, those things play out. So it's super cool. And again, to manifest a coaching culture, local leaders act as passionate champions for a cause and coach to bring that cause to life. So local leaders become the amplifier for what the organization aspires to become, and uses levers of coaching, leader as coach, to bring that future cause to life. Leaders develop their coaching skills and apply them with their team. So developing leader as coach is a set of skills, just like we develop growth mindset, or how do we have difficult conversations, or how do we reduce authority gradients. These are all things that leaders can develop, and developing leaders as coaches is a skill set, because that's not intrinsically done much in healthcare leadership right now. And again, engagement is a local event, most driven by the interaction between a local leader and their team. So every CEO in the nation right now is should be accountable for executing engagement and all the downstream impacts of workforce stabilization, retention, and recruiting clinical talent. But it's not the CEO that does it. It's their ability to cascade a composite of leader behaviors that engages people, of which leader as coach is a principal one. And so we have to understand that engagement is a local event. So our ability to develop leaders is about developing everyone, manager and above. And many would say clinician as team leader. How do we have clinicians serve as leaders of local teams to allow them to deploy skills that keep their LVN, MA, and their other critical teammates? And the transition of building engagement of what we used to think of work as paycheck satisfaction, my boss, my annual review, to what it is today. It's my purpose, it's my development, it's my coach, my ongoing conversations, my strengths, my life. And I think an underlying mechanism of the Great Resignation is that people are no longer willing to do things for a paycheck. There's something that has arisen as a result of all that we have been through, that my life must have meaning. I must do something that has a sense of purpose to it. And I'm sure many of you have heard and read about the study that was published in JAMA in 2020, where clinicians, the degree of PTSD was assessed in clinicians during the first wave of COVID in New York, and that apocalypse they went through. And the degree of trauma was by assessing the single question, the response to the single question, which was, do you feel as though your life or the life of your loved ones is at risk? And they found about nearly 60% of the clinicians that were surveyed had the highest degree of trauma and PTSD. 6 months later, they assessed how those clinicians were doing. And what they found was the degree of post-traumatic trauma was directly proportional to post-traumatic growth. And post-traumatic growth is, I now realize what's important in my life. I believe I can get through anything. I have now reoriented my priorities for the things that actually matter. I've deepened my faith. I will do things that make a difference in the world. I mean, if you didn't know what the hell was they went through to get to that realization and that post-traumatic growth, you'd say, I'll take 2 of those. But the reality is that the experience of our workforce, physicians, nurses, APPs, staff, physical therapists, whatever, they demand purpose and development, coaching and ongoing conversation, and a chance to see purpose in the work that they do with people that they care about in an organization that is highly effectively led. So this is Leader as Coach. So now that I've biased you, I'm going to have you in a very quick sprint, take a sentence and open up the chat, take a sentence, and it's your My Best Leader Challenge. And in a sentence, you can use a word, you can use a sentence, you can use a couple of sentences, but the point is super tight. What is the best leader in your life that you have ever had in or out of healthcare? And what specifically did they do to have you say that made them the best? Okay, open up the chat, go, go, go. And Matt is going to be our voice of God and triage those to provide some of the themes that we're hearing from My Best Leader Ever.
Great. I mean, already some great stuff coming through. Empathy, absolutely. They called me a leader. They acknowledged my value as a leader. They listened to me. They helped me go beyond my comfort zone. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. Empowered me to grow, gave me responsibility and kind of running room to grow and scope to grow. Yeah, gave me opportunity, had faith in me as a person. I mean, talk about overcoming that imposter syndrome, just mentorship. It's just a sense of true caring. They cared for me as a whole person, not just as a productive member of their team, but as a person. Expected a lot of me, right? I think that's part of it too. They expected a lot of me.
Leader as Coach is a little bit of a hard ass, actually.
Yeah, constructive criticism is in there too.
Right, candor and honesty.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, as we think about this, and we'll capture some of these, is all of these are under the, getting these experiences to manifest, just like Uncle Bob, is a variation of Leader as Coach. The best leaders that we've ever had believe in us, develop us, challenge us, empower us. That's coaching. So anyway, so now the flip side. In one sentence, the worst leader that you've ever had that's been so bad that you go, I cannot work for this person in this place. I'm out. your worst ever. So same exercise, and Matt will read a few of those.
Micromanaging, absolutely domineering, not present,
Mhm.
didn't follow through, wasn't flexible, didn't listen, calling you out in front of others. I mean, just
Yeah.
not being there for you is definitely a big theme in
Right.
here. Didn't model leadership. Provided, asked them to do something but didn't know how to do it themselves.
Right.
Again, model.
No, it is. And it's extraordinary. But if you look at the mechanisms of failures of leaders, it's more diverse than it is what is the composite of things that we do as leaders to engage our teams. There's not a lot of variance around that. I mean, there's different personalities and beautiful diversity in how leaders lead, but there's certainly themes. So anyway, thank you for your participation. And again, my belief, and what I'll take to the grave with me is that the support and development of those you lead to be one of the most powerful engagement drivers that we have. Because it's a cue for all the things that matter. You care, we care, we believe in you. And it's a chance for them to deploy and develop skills that allow them to see the power and the purpose of their work. And again, Gallup has compelling data that is remarkably consistent. That is, those organizations that dedicate themselves to developing their people are the ones that win, because of all the signals that are sent by a people development strategy. And Leader as a Coach is a amplifier of that commitment. So let's get into a little bit about what the senior leader role is and what the local leader role is. And then we'll get into the 3 actions so we can have some time for questions in the end. And again, these are global, but I would say that, if I were to ask any CEO, tell me about your people development strategy, and is that an important mechanism to achieving your organizational goals? Very few would say, yes, it's important. Yes, we're going to do it. And we believe in that. But it's not the intention that creates results, or the notion or the idea. It's the execution of, we've built people development across our organization to advance skills to allow people to become their best. And so one of the 4 things that we see among leaders, number 1 is that they participate in Leader as Coach by coaching their direct reports. So we're going to give you 3 tactics that are transcendent, whether you're a frontline manager or whether you're an executive team leader, but they will deploy actions of Leader as Coach that allows leaders to understand that part of their job is to identify what their people want to become, to encourage and challenge them, and empower them locally to bring forward their ideas, and to bring that to begin the cascade of Leader as Coach from the executive team to their direct reports, and modeling that specifically as an endeavor that can be brought to the frontline team. A fundamental belief that developing people is both an engagement and improvement strategy. And again, having coached one-on-one over 800 clinicians and many, many other thousands, clinicians don't know how to do the very things that they're now accountable for. And again, I've said it again and again, I've never met a clinician who's able to articulate why patients say about them. We cannot provision individually attributed data regarding patient experience without tools to improve. It's unfair, and it's going to create high threat of that perception of that data. But data coupled to solution is a continuous improvement culture, and data in the absence of improvement tool is threatening and irritating. So, and again, the senior leader is going to map coaching. So it's not like we ain't have to coach people and we're going to put them in a classroom and do that. We have to deliberately map our coaching to what we want to do and become, with pre and post measures of success, because we're in a data world now. We can't say we coached our clinicians on how to be better on telehealth, but show me the outcomes that our patient loyalty and patient churn is improved as a result of us becoming better in telehealth care. So that they're mapping coaching to what their priorities are. So it's a deliberate, strategic, confluent effort. And again, that there's a continuous feedback loop of a coaching culture that allows the gathering of feedback of how are we leading, and the self-awareness to say, this is the impact that we're having on those that we lead, to create a continuous improvement, leadership effectiveness cycle that we're going to ask of everybody else as well. Because if developing people is every member of the team, including the executive team, the senior managers, the frontline managers, and all care team members going and learning skills. And part of that process is gathering feedback on how we're doing and using that as an opportunity to improve. So the most important strategy that senior leaders can do, in addition to doing the things they do themselves to begin the coaching process, leader as coach, to understand and believe and be committed to development of people, is an engagement and performance improvement strategy, mapping coaching to specific organizational priorities and things like patient experience, wellness, or improve your safety culture scores. And there's a feedback mechanism to gather how are we doing as leaders. But a super powerful effort, milestone, toll booth that senior leaders have to go through is passing the power to local leaders to engage and coach their teams. Engagement and coaching must occur locally. It must be the local manager with their team, the local clinician leader with their team, their ability to cascade that from organizational and executive intention in a strategic retreat to this is how we do our work, and we develop skills on the things that we're trying to do and become as an organization. The local leader is absolutely vital. Again, for the third time, engagement is a local occurrence. It happens by virtue of how it is that we lead at the front line. Again, 70% of the entire engagement equation across all industries is the local leader. And giving the local leader as coach the power to be able to lead and craft their future state and have a voice in who they aspire to become. Who will we be for each other and for the patients? I mean, they're going to obviously be underneath the organizational priority of patient experience and team engagement, but passing the power to the local team member, the local leader, to say, what do we want to be for our patients and each other, and allow them that empowerment. An empowering local leader allows us to amplify the organizational cause, is critical to manifesting the organizational cause. It's just, it's how that all plays out. So again, passing the power to the local leaders. And I can guarantee you, it is way less frustrating to lead locally when you're empowered to lead your team in ways that engages your team based upon what we know to be highly effective leaders, of which leader as coach is a critical ingredient in that. So here we go. 3 leader as coach actions, 3 things that we can do. And you can do this afternoon. And you're going to say, Steve, these are so stupid simple. Could you tell me something I don't already know? But it's game changing. This is game changing. This is what the best of leaders do. And it's not knowing it. It's about, this is who I am as a leader and how I express coaching to those that I lead. Number 1, with the people that you lead, tell me what you hope to become. What a caring, engaging, supportive signal. They have hopes and dreams and aspirations, and your ability to know and understand that is about their decision to say backseat, arms crossed, woe is me, to front seat, active participant in what your team is trying to do and become. You know, the logic and rationale is about coaching is about helping people become what they aspire to be. That is the essence of coaching. It is a requirement of coaching. Tell me what you want to become. And coaching is about unleashing and optimizing strengths to be their best, because there are some people that are really good at certain things and other people that aren't. And optimizing their strengths and identifying and discovering their strengths and allowing them to be in positions to allow that to manifest is critical. Coaching is building a mastery journey that maps to your personal organizational goals. So as we coach our teams by identifying what they aspire to be, what they aspire to be and become are frequently, almost always aligned with healthy, adaptive organizational priorities. So simply asking your team members, tell me what you aspire to become. I see something exceptional in you. I can tell you 10 times right now, if we had more time, about attendings that approached me, elementary school teachers that approached me, coaches, band directors that approached me. And it wasn't always good. I mean, sometimes they say, Steve, you're not being who I know you can be. I mean, I've had a fair number of that, and that prompted me to dig deeper. But they crafted an identity and a belief that I had in myself by specifically saying to someone, I see something exceptional in you. It is what we do to create and shape identity, particularly for senior leaders who pull a frontline manager aside and say, I see something exceptional. And a bit, again, your ability to see, identify, and provide feedback in the amazing things that you see is an extraordinary experience to say, I belong and I see a future here. It is, how do we stabilize our workforce is letting people know how exceptional they are by identifying their particular strengths and what you see them do as team members. And it sets the stage for a continuously improving mastery journey. I see something, you're a diamond in the rough. And our ability to be able to foster that sense of, I see something extraordinary in you. And third, I'm going to be asking a lot of you. It is, I believe in you. I have faith in you. And I see something exceptional in you, and our ability to be able to press team members based upon the potential that they have and who they are and what they aspire to be. Those are not exhausting circumstances. Those are invigorating, restorative circumstances. So again, our ability to be able to say to the teams that we leader as coach, and what do we do exactly? It is, tell me what you aspire to be. I see something exceptional in you, and I'm going to press you beyond your comfort zone. It's exactly what Uncle Bob had done for me. And I don't know if I would have I certainly wouldn't be in medicine, but I don't know who I would be as a person, a father, a clinician without my Uncle Bob. Profoundly impactful. And again, the rationale, with belief and ability comes growth and challenge, meaning as we form the sense of who we are, the next logical step is, now I have an opportunity to participate in things and lead projects that are a reflection of that exceptional thing that leader gave me feedback on and who I aspire to be. It fosters, I can do this, is very growth mindset, to allow people the freedom to be able to take risks and to feel safe to say, you know what, I need some help. I'm struggling with this, and to be able to create those cues and safety for that, and provides a gateway to building abilities to respond to the challenge. So as we look at the spectrum of what leaders as coaches do, there's a variety of things, all of which represent high servant, mission, purpose, value-driven leaders that prompt people to say, in any industry, I'm going to stay here and I will do whatever I can to help this place succeed. I love what we're trying to become. Every single day I'm challenged. They press me hard, but in a fair, constructive way, in a direction that has been my choosing. And I'm always challenged to learn and develop. So, and of course, we have to model behaviors of learning ourselves. When we launched Practicing Excellence, we always say the greatest pull mechanism is leaders participating, learning skills, and telling the story of what they're learning and the impact that it had. You do that, everybody else will follow. You don't do that, then it becomes one more top-down bullhorn mandate. And we know how that works out. So we model the behaviors of what we aspire other people to be. And the self-learning, I'm always learning and reading and discovering how I can become better in the mission that we believe in, and better care for our patients and better experience for those that we lead. That, flip classroom challenges, the ability to say, we're going to try this and come back together, and I want to hear your story of what happened. And that the flip classroom of providing a challenge based upon a skill that you learned and coming back and telling your story, beginning with you, is probably the most powerful learning mechanism of all. The passage of wisdom, you're going to be able to provision wisdom and things that you've learned over the years in terms of having difficult conversations, managing failure, when work-life balance gets out of whack, when, the ability to just use your wisdom of time to be able to share with high vulnerability how you got through it all. The recognition of skill application, harvesting and becoming a storytelling organization. So people will learn skills and they will apply skills, and you harvesting the stories and telling those stories, carving out time to develop skills. I think there's many of our member organizations now that kick off meetings with coaching tips and begin to make learning and building skills a part of their operational rhythm, and exchanging stories of skill application of what happened when you did it. When you said to a patient at the end of a clinical encounter, we're going to be with you every step of the way. What happened? What was your story? And the bubbling up in the exchange of those stories is how we get other people to actively participate in this journey of coaching and developing our skills to drive meaningful outcomes. So in summary, leader as coach is an amplifier of engagement and improvement. Us as coaches engages people and improves people simultaneously. Coaching is helping people become their best and raising their capacity to deliver results to manifest a future state. So whatever your future state may be for patients, for your teams, and strategic priorities you have, coaching is a mechanism to allow that to manifest. Leader as coach locally is how coaching cascades from organizational intention to local care team experience. It's got to be expressed by local leaders, and a coaching culture must manifest from local team leaders, and developing the skills of I know how to coach my team locally. And coaching identify what matters, coaches identify what matters, encourages, creates belief, and passes wisdom, and challenges team members to become their best. And again, I use this slide in the last webinar because it's so, I think, immensely important. It's so easy to create spins in our head of things that we should do, ought to do, considering doing, but we have full dominion over who we are and the actions that we take with the team members that we lead. We can do them tomorrow, this afternoon. And I encourage you to begin to think about what actions you will take, not only leader as coach, but helping, supporting, encouraging, and believing and developing the people around you to help them become their best. And our support for Wake Up, Kick Ass, Be Kind, and Repeat, I think is a good way to live your life. This life is short, nothing is guaranteed, and our ability to make meaningful impact, to be proud of who we are, to know with certainty that we're making lives of our patients and our colleagues and our teammates better, and to live in accordance with our deepest held beliefs, to continuously improve on things that matter. Despite all the crap that's happening in medicine, those are things that we can do. And we can respond to the circumstances around us in a way that allows us to be massive contributors to better care for patients and our colleagues, and to do so in a way that brings us joy and contentment. And this life that we've worked so hard for, that's been under such profound strain and stress. So with that, a couple of ideas, and Matt will join us as well. Would love to hear certainly any challenges or questions from the QA function. And I'll pass to Matt in regards to some of the follow-up. But again, immensely appreciative of each and every one of you. This life, initially inspired by my uncle, is an honor and privilege to help and support care team members become their best and make meaningful impact, and to live a life of no regret, because there's a few regrets out there still. So Matt, I'll pass back to you.
Thanks, Steve. And everyone, as a reminder, the Q&A function is available. If you put your questions in chat, I'll see them as well. So either way, it's totally fine. We will be sending these slides to all of you who attended today tomorrow. You'll get a link to the recording and the slides. You can share this information with your team. And we've also put together a summary. This will be a 3 or 4 page document that includes a summary of our discussion today. It'll include the television shows that everyone recommended, a list of those for those of you who watch TV. I admit that I am one of them. And it'll include just a bunch of other information that, again, you can share with your teams or just skim through. If you want more of kind of what Steve does a kind of a weekly video podcast on his LinkedIn channel, a bunch of other content from his LinkedIn channel. So feel free to follow him on LinkedIn. You can use that QR code there. And then he also publishes a monthly newsletter that's kind of a condensed version of all the things we've been talking about, he's been talking about over the course of the month. So please feel free to subscribe to updates using that second QR code. And of course, feel free to email Steve as well. So some questions for you, Steve. How do you engage your team when they are struggling to work with each other?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, part of the challenge of building this collaborative, engaged culture is on the assumption that people are not throwing rocks at each other within and across teams. And I think it's countermeasures to that it is often the very basics within a team of, and I remember a particular circumstance that we had at Sharp with the primary care group and the general surgery group were clashing with each other, to the point where there was a lot of name calling and divisions and inappropriate emails were being sent back and forth. And we had an opportunity to get together, and we had a chance to be able to articulate what our concerns were. But I think most importantly, we had a chance to get to know each other, and what we hope to get out of our experience within a group. And it was one of the most powerful experiences that I've ever been through. Two groups that were coming together, sitting at opposite ends of the room. And then we actually did what we call speed dating. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but we had a chance to sort of talk with each other about what we do when we don't have anything that we have to do on a day off. And it was an incredible experience to break down the barriers of going from those surgeons, those sons of, to you love to mountain bike. And we began it with that, which created a little bit of safety. Then the next part of the meeting was us articulating, what do we hope to achieve as a group? And we wanted the same things: collaborative, respectful, responsive. We fostered a shared interest, and we made ground rules of dropping accusation and simply bringing curiosity. In the following 4 years that I was with Sharp, the Department of General Surgery became so tight that we were able to co-create clinical guidelines on breast lump management together in our care pathways, because we had such a healthy relationship with them. So building shared interest, getting to know each other, being able to articulate with candor and curiosity about what we're seeing and what we hope to be able to become, and a willingness to extend an olive branch. That's how we approached it, and it was super toxic, but it was pretty transformative. So,
another question. I love this one. I get hung up I will be asking a lot of you part of coaching.
Mhm.
How do you know how much to challenge someone?
Yes. So it's a great point, a great observation that at a time when they don't have time for anything else, they're absolutely redlined and exhausted. And you're saying part of coaching is I'm going to be asking more of you. And how is that helpful? Uh, I would encourage you to think of it this way. In medicine, there's the work of medicine, prior auths, dictations, chart submissions, lab ordering, lab verification, portals, work of medicine. There's the joy of medicine, which is patient relations, team collaborations, projects that are meaningful for them. And sometimes when the work of medicine becomes so prominent that it can overshadow and often fully displace the joy of medicine. When we say we're going to ask more of you, and perhaps there's a better way of phrasing it, is identifying what matters most to them, what they want to see in their personal and team future state, and giving them the opportunity to be able to make a meaningful difference in that pursuit. I have never, in all of my years of coaching individual leaders and managers, given them a purposeful, impactful opportunity to make a meaningful difference on things that they care about, where they felt anything but energized by it. You can't say, I'm going to ask more of you because you're seeing more patients. Therefore, I think you need to unlock your frozen spot on your morning template 11:15 that we were giving you to catch up on your portal to see more patients. That's not what we mean. Leader as coach is identifying what matters to them, what they want to participate in, and signaling, I believe in you, and would you like to be a part of this? And so frame it in the context of where they want to go, and amplifying purposeful impact on the group, as opposed to, burdening them with additional work of medicine.
I think we have time for one more, another one I really like. So you think about, Steve, this is the question: what are the top 3 or so attributes or skills that a coach should have to be an effective coach?
I think a willingness to, to really keenly listen, tell me what you aspire to do and become, I think is immensely important. I think somebody who has self-learning interest, they're on their own personal mastery journey. So that idea of I'm going to become something that I aspire to be is not a referential thing, but let me tell you my story of I was disillusioned with medicine. It wasn't at all what I thought. I began to learn and try and discover and become the kind of clinician I wanted to. Change my life. That's very, very powerful. And I think number 3 is what we call being a multiplying leader, which is the ability to give people the ability to run and even fail. Super hard for me because some of you may be clinicians, and if you want it right, do it yourself. That's our medical programming. And strength is I can do it on my own. And great coaches will say, I'm going to let you run. And to be able to have what we call the multiplier effect, as opposed to diminishing leaders which micromanage and stifle people. Multipliers pass the baton and let them run and even fail. Great book called Multipliers by Liz Wiseman, if you want to read something after you read this one. So anyway, super appreciative to all of you. And again, here's my email. If there's anything you need at any time for anything, I'm always available and love to speak with people that are committed to developing their people to become their best. It's a life worth living. So again, grateful to all of you, and we'll get all of these things to you shortly.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.